I remember when there was a point where I did not know what this bleeding was. I did not know how to make it stop. My doctor didn't know how to make it stop. All my test results were coming back normal, but there was something wrong with me. And I started to think to myself, what if I'm dying and I don't know? And that was such a scary thing. And I think around that time was when Chadwick Boseman died. And I thought about how sick he was while he was doing what he was doing. And I thought about how this undiagnosed thing that I was going through was taking over my life. And I thought about how much time I had wasted. I thought about how much potential I had wasted by focusing on my pain and focusing on what was wrong. And if you saw me, if you met me, if you talked to me, you would never think. There are a lot of people who watched that testimonial video that had no idea that I was going through this for over a decade. I mean, granted, it's probably not something you're gonna announce from the rooftops, but I started to develop this overly positive mindset, but it didn't come from a place of truth. It was positivity that was fueled by fear. And I was so afraid of what I didn't know. I was so afraid of what was happening that I thought if I could just be as positive as possible, if I could think as positively as possible, and if I could pour as much as I could into everyone around me, then that would make everything worthwhile that I was going through, which made absolutely no sense. And I learned how to fake happiness. I learned how to look happy. I learned how to sound happy. And I learned how to make others happy. But I wasn't happy. And I really started journaling from a different perspective. I don't know how it happened. I think it was out of need, because there was a point where I took all my journals and I put them in this metal bin outside, and I poured like acetone or alcohol or something on them, and I burned them, because I would go back to write and then I would read something I wrote before and I would relive that thing all over again. And in some ways I regret that now, because I feel like I could have touched where I was so that I could help someone else. I think it would be useful as reference when I'm working with people, but I remember. I think I remember the most important things. I'm saying all this to say that yes, we have to be positive. Yes, we have to think the best. Think forward. You know, don't live in the past. Don't think negatively. Speak positive words over yourself. That's something I had to learn, because it was so easy for me to talk about how tired I was or how stressed out I was. And I would have these conversations with myself. If I was talking to someone else, I wouldn't have those conversations with them. I would be fine. and everything would be great, but it wasn't. But over the years, and it took years, I learned how to be true to myself. I learned how to acknowledge what I was feeling, allow myself to feel it without feeling condemned, because even with all this happening in my body and me trying to show up and just be a good person and be a good wife and be a good mom, because at the time I was just a stay-at-home mom, and I felt unhappy, and I felt unsettled and unfinished. I felt unfinished. That's what it was. I felt like I was missing something. Not I was missing something, but my life was missing something. And when you look at my life looked fine. It didn't look like there was particularly anything wrong with my life, and yet I was unhappy. And I condemned myself in many ways for that, because I kept telling myself, you should be grateful for all that you have. You should be grateful. How dare you want more? How dare you want to work when your husband is willing to provide for your family? And I am grateful for my husband, because had it not been for him being the sole provider, I'm not sure that I would have had the mental bandwidth to think through and work through a lot of the stuff that I was able to work through. God in his wisdom allowed us to have this framework for our family, and in some ways it's amazing, and in other ways it might not be. But I got in touch with myself, and when I was working with my coach, she was explaining how very often the thing that we are best at is something that we do naturally, and for me it's asking questions. And some people don't like to be asked questions because it makes them uneasy. But it's in asking questions that we really get in touch with who we are and what we want. So I ask myself questions all the time, and I get as deep inside of myself as I can, because after experiencing healing and freedom from something that kept me just bound up for so long, I don't want to ever feel like that again. I don't want to ever feel like I have to pretend that I'm okay. And I don't want anybody else to ever feel that. So those people who are ready and who want to work with me and who are willing to ask questions, those are the people that I want to work with. People who resist being questioned, and people who are not willing to ask themselves questions or ask questions of life. People who are not going to just accept that this is how I am and it's always been this way and this is all there is, are not really the people who the vision sequence or the A-list assignment is for, you're gonna get frustrated. And one of the reasons why I call the A-list assignment by that name is because, well, all of the principles start with A, but when you think about the A-list, you think about people who are in high society and people who you look up to. And I felt like I had put myself on the back burner for so long in my own life that it was time for me to be on the A-list for myself. Not for anyone to induct me into the A-list, but for me to put myself back on the A-list. Because I felt empty. I felt really empty. And I didn't feel like I was being myself. And I told someone recently that I finally feel like myself. Like things that used to make me feel so uncertain or scared don't make me feel that way anymore. I can't describe it, but I have been living the last year of my life by these principles. It's been before a year, but when I formalized them and wrote them down, I have been living my life by these principles, and it has changed my life. I still live in the same house. I still wear the same clothes. I still have the same family. But I am not the same. I am the transformation. And it feels so good to be me. And to set goals for my life based on what I truly believe is my full potential and not what I think I should do or what I think people need from me. You know, I have a vision board over here, and the stuff on that vision board it's stuff that I would never have given myself permission to even put there. I wouldn't have even given myself permission to write it down if I didn't do this work. So I really want to encourage you, whatever it looks like for you, find a way to find yourself. It is not worth it in this world to gain success that causes you to lose yourself. Nothing is worth losing you. No relationship, no job, no lifestyle is worth losing yourself. And in all that I've been through in the last, I would say 12 years, coming back to me is the greatest thing. And that's what I want for everyone that I work with. That's what I want for everyone who sees a video that I post or read something that I wrote. I want to help you find you, the real you that God created you to be. And I want you to feel good as you. I just wanted to share that. Stay well.